Hey everybody, it's Lon.TV, and this is Dispatch 4 from CES 2024. Today we're going to look at some things I found on the show floor as we were wandering around, so stay tuned for that. Before we get into everything though, I do want to thank SK who sponsored this year's coverage. We went upstairs to their demo room to look at all the different ways they're integrating artificial intelligence into data center management, power distribution, and even urban planning. Really cool stuff. We even saw something about quantum encryption, which I thought was amazing. So you can see that in the video linked in the description. So right now we are in the basement of the Venetian, and here is my favorite place to visit at CES. This is Eureka Park. This is where all the startups are. Unfortunately, we don't have as much time to explore as we did in the past, but there are some things I do want to check out here. So let's head out and see what we can find. Now, one of the things I love about Eureka Park is that they organize a lot of these startups by their home country. So we're in the French pavilion right now. And this is something I got a press release about and I was really fascinated with. This is Dolphi Sonus. And what it's designed to do is detect if a child falls in the water. Here in the US alone, hundreds of kids every year are dying because they're falling into a pool by accident and drowning. This device uses sonar and, of course, artificial intelligence to detect when a child falls in and it sounds an alarm. Now, over here is the control panel for it. It's very simple. So if you're having a party and people are swimming, you can activate swimmer mode here. And as people are swimming, everything is fine. It won't set off the detector. And then you can reactivate the sonar by arming it with the top button. But if you should forget to reactivate, it will automatically turn itself back on once it doesn't detect any activity in the pool. Now, this is rather pricey considering all the things that you might buy for your pool at around $5,300, but it's a lot of peace of mind to know that you'd be able to detect a child falling into the pool right when it happens. Now, if you are a startup having some trouble interfacing with the U.S. government, every year down here in Eureka Park, no matter who the president is, the U.S. government sets up shop and they've got stations representing all the different U.S. agencies, both on the regulatory side, but also where you might be able to find some business opportunities. And so the Department of Defense is here, the NSF, the FAA, DARPA, the Defense Research Agency. You've got even the Copyright and Trademark Office here, too, for getting your patents going. So pretty nice one-stop shopping for startups looking for help getting going. So we're over here at the Korean Pavilion, and we found this neat adapter that plugs in this case, to a PlayStation controller. They call this the Expender. This is in prototype. It's not available yet. But this is an efficient QWERTY keyboard that you can attach to your game controller so you can type faster. One of the things I hate when I've got my games going is having to use the controller to navigate those on-screen keyboards. This gives you the ability to type things out very quickly. They tell me it's pretty quick to get used to. Now we've got another version here, if my friend can swap me out. This one is called the Fintin V1, and as you can see, there's no labels on it, but this is designed for people who are visually impaired. And what it does is it lets you type on your phone through texture and haptic feedback. And again, it's laid out in a QWERTY set of keys, so you'll know where all the keys are as you start to learn how to feel your way around. Now, one neat thing about this is that it also works well in virtual reality when you can't see a keyboard that you need to type on. So there's a couple of different use cases here, but a pretty neat idea from this company called OneCom. Now, this is called the WE-Stim. And these look like just a regular pair of leggings you would use for jogging. However, what they do is route static electricity that you're generating as you're walking and redirect it to muscle groups that you might want to stimulate with electrolysis, essentially. This is not like a high voltage product here. It's just what you would generate through walking with static electricity. But still, kind of a neat idea that you won't, zap yourself on a piece of metal, but rather help your muscles perform better as you're walking around. I know I could probably generate a lot of electricity walking the floors here at CES. Now, they've got a bunch of different garment ideas here. All of them are working. However, these are not sold in the U.S. just yet. They are still developing the business here, but they're seeing some good results with some of their outfits in helping muscles perform better. So this is an interesting product from a company called Curotics. Now, this is certainly a more specialty product. It's not affordable in the consumer sense. I believe it's several $1,000s. But these are robotics to help you walk if you're having trouble. They actually can pull up on your leg as you're walking to reduce the effort involved in walking. And what I like about these things is that they're customizable, so you can add multiple units if you need more assistance. You can have fewer units. You can adjust where they're pulling from. and it can greatly increase your range if you are walking, or if you're having trouble walking, be able to walk better. Now, they also make some stuff in the medical environment for physical therapy. And what I found intriguing about this is that this is customizable based on the patient. So oftentimes when we see these wearable robotics, they're kind of in a one-size-fits-all scenario where it's only going to do one thing. These devices can be customized based on a specific use case so that physical therapists can get the most out of the robotic assistance. Now, what you're looking at here is the BANF tire monitoring system, and this is much more advanced than just a simple tire pressure monitor. These sensors can detect the condition of the road. They can detect the overall condition of the tire beyond just the pressure from the inside. They can also look at the bolts that attach the tire to the truck that they're driving on. A whole bunch of data can be collected, run through AI systems, and deliver some very useful logistics data for trucking companies and others. Now, these sensors, though, require a lot more power. So what happens here is they are charged through the tire using that mud flap there, and that's what keeps those sensors operating. Lots of neat innovation down here in Eureka Park. Now, if you're wondering how we find all this stuff here, we basically block out some time to just walk around down here. Now, for everything that you see, we probably spent a half hour to 45 minutes wandering looking for it. So not the most efficient way to handle the show, but sometimes the hidden gems are really and truly hidden down here in Eureka Park. Now, when you're roaming the show floor, you see some crazy ideas for booth design. This one is certainly interesting. Now, this is from our sponsor, SK. I had no idea this was here. We just were walking by it, and I thought you'd all like to see this. So what they're demoing here is a hydrogen fuel cell, and they have a ride that people can take here and complete with a track to go around and see how some of this fuel cell technology works. And this is the sort of things that these companies do here to try and get attention, catch the attention of press perhaps, but also to market what they are selling to the world. So if you want another example of a large corporate exhibit, check out Google's thing here. They usually do this every year. They're outside. It is a little chilly in Vegas today. They've got a huge display here, as you can see. We have to the left our big Android statue. But what's really striking about this is that these structures, these buildings that all these people are walking into, were constructed just for this show. So they brought in all this furniture, they constructed these buildings, they put signage up, all for CES to demo their products. Now, we did go through a few of these. There's nothing new here that is new for the show, really. They're showing off what their AI is doing and a few other things like their phones, but just an example of how much money these companies spend to have a presence here at the show. And Google, of course, is locating themselves outside with their own temporary structures. So we've been talking a lot about owning physical media, and one of the emerging trends in the audio industry is that people are buying vinyl records again. In fact, vinyl records are selling, I think, stronger than CDs are at this point. And we were just walking by this booth. These are not kind of audiophile devices, but they're making so many of them that I think it's worth talking about. These are Victor turntables, and they vary in price from like $90 to like this one to $150, $120. And they have some modern integrations, but they all integrate a turntable for playing your records. There's a bunch more over here if Jake wants to pan around this way. We have CD player integration. You can connect them to Bluetooth, but you can play your records. And look how many different variations there are. I haven't seen something like this since I was a kid in the 80s, where you've got the cassette player, the turntable, and a CD player all kind of integrated into one unit here. And it's just showing you that I think there's still a desire to own physical media again, and people are buying vinyl records because they want to own something, and clearly there's enough of a market to support all of these different variations of turntables. So one of the booths I always like to stop by on the show floor is MyArcade. They always have some cool retro gaming things, and they've always got some cool stuff that always catches my attention, like these little tabletop arcades. As you can see, they've got a joystick, a spinner, a trackpad, a number pad, and regular buttons. This is their 7-inch unit. They've got a larger 10.1-inch unit over here. Pretty cool. And they also now have a portable system, and this has a trackball, a spinner, and a control pad as well, along with the number pad. And you can also hook it up via HDMI to your television. So it kind of has a switch functionality to it. And this is $129. This, I believe, is $199, and this is $149. So not too bad. They do have SD card slots. You can do with those what you wish to do. So believe it or not, this is Tetris's 40th anniversary. I feel really old now. And the MyArcade people have an officially licensed Tetris game, actually a couple of them. So this is a little handheld, looks like a Game Boy. It has Tetris on it, and then it's got about 300 other games, little mini game kind of things. This is $29, and it kind of replicates an 8-bit version of Tetris. They have another one available for $25, this one up here. Pretty much the same game. It only has 200 games on the bonus section versus 300, but it costs a little bit less. And then, as we go over here, they have a 16-bit version of Tetris with more colors. And they have a mini arcade version. They've got a handheld. And then all the way down here, they have a little micro version that runs the 8-bit version, a really tiny little version of Tetris. Now, they tell me they had to go through licensing with the Tetris organization, so they had to meet certain guidelines for how the physics work because they actually developed these versions of Tetris themselves. So it should look and feel a lot like a real version of Tetris that you might enjoy on your computer or on your Game Boy. Great little stocking stuffers. The 16-bit models here are $39.99. I'm not sure about the Nano one. Now, the price point on this one is a little bit high, but hear me out because I think it's pretty cool. This is an arcade cabinet from Bandai-Namco, and what's neat about it is that down here, you got a fridge, and then you got cup holders for your beverages, you got a bottle opener, and then, of course, you have an arcade cabinet with all of the official owned IP from Bandai Namco, at least from the arcade. So you've got Pacman, all the classics here, and one of the things they were telling me is that the controls here, even though the display is obviously modern, the controls are made the same way they were in the 80s. It really feels nice and stiff and nice action to the buttons here. So really cool mini arcade. Here's the price, $3,195. So not cheap, but if you are a hardcore Pac-Man fan or some of these other games from the 80s from Bandai, definitely worth checking out. Now, as many of you know, I'm a member of the Amazon Vine program, and I get in a lot of stuff to review. And some of the keyboards I've been getting on Amazon Vine come from this company called Red Dragon. Now, the price point on these keyboards is very reasonable. Some of them start around $30. Most of them, if not all of them, are under $100. And they're mechanical keyboards. They have different switches available. The quality of the mechanism is not going to rival a Cherry switch or something like that, but for core functionality and a mechanical feel for a less than $100 price, these keyboards actually aren't bad, and my kids are using some of them right now. Some of them have RGB lighting. You don't get a lot of per key control on them, but it varies based on the model. And some of them actually let you swap out the key switches for other ones. We were looking at a bunch of key switch options at their front desk over there. And these are all new. So they have a whole new line of keyboards coming out. And we'll see if we can get some of these into review. So we stopped by the GameSir booth here, and they've got another one of these controllers for your mobile phone. This one works with the iPhone. It is $99, not all that expensive. From reading the specs, it has Hall effect sticks on it as well. And it feels very sturdy. It's got a very nice feel to it. So if you're doing a lot of cloud-based gaming, this might be something worth taking a look at. I'm going to try to get one of these into review. So that is going to do it for our coverage of CES 2024. We managed to get 4 dispatch videos out. I do want to thank our sponsor, SK, that made all of this possible. So very big thanks to them. Definitely check out the video we shot in their demo room the other day. I think you'll find it interesting. And this year was a good year, I think. We got some interesting stuff on camera. Again, it takes a lot of time and effort to get those things. And I'm going to do a video when I get back to give some companies advice, especially small ones, about how to get the attention of small outfits like ours, but also the larger ones, because it's hard to find those needles in a haystack. The show itself is not as big as it was prior to the pandemic. There's certainly a lot of attendees here, but the amount of exhibition space isn't as much as it was before. And I think that's due to maybe how the pandemic shifted some things in the business world insofar as how companies exhibit. A lot of the bigger companies stay in a meeting room or in their suites now. We're not seeing as many of them on the floor, but they do go to some of the events that we attend pre-show. So let me know what you all thought of this. We really love doing this for you, and I know you all enjoy watching it. So we'll hopefully be back next year for CES 2025. Until next time, this is Lon.TV. Thanks for watching.
This channel is brought to you by the Lon.TV supporters, including gold level supporters Brian Parker, Budley, Hot Sauce and Video Games, Steve Green, And I'm DeBrown. If you want to help the channel, you can by contributing as little as $1 a month. Head over to Lon.TV/support to learn more. And don't forget to subscribe. Visit Lon.TV/S.